trying to think in their own way. This is what I mean. Can you say you can convince people to wear their dresses at home, make new dresses and wear it at home just to feel better? Do you understand? Rather than trying to follow their own idea of not wanting to wear new dresses at home. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to, like,
Okay.
this about the thing. Does it have to be that we follow the future? Can we create some kind of future scenarios for ourselves? Make the future go in the direction that we want it to go. Is it possible? Are there strategies to do that?
Okay. Okay. The question you ask is an interesting one. Is people try it? There's something called visioning, and there's something called what we call normative future. Sometimes it's where you try to create your own future. But this is what people do in the best of times. You understand what I mean? You try to do what you're asking now is what people try to do in the best of times, where when things when other things are taken for granted. In situations like these, in the world we're dealing with right now, how do you convince someone who is out of job, or someone whose salary has been reduced, even if not out of job, or someone, even if their salary has not been whose salary has not been reduced, but who has now been made poorer by the virtue of the fact that a dollar used to be 360 before, 360 naira it used to be 360 naira to $1 before. It's now 420. And in a country where people depend on goods, essential goods that are imported, it means that even for people who are not out of jobs, whose salaries have not been slashed, they become poorer, so to speak. So how do you convince that kind of person to spend on something that they no longer consider essential? So if you find yourself in that kind of situation, then you need to pivot. That said, it doesn't mean that, for instance, using that kind of example, doesn't mean that you still, and that was why I said something earlier, that you need to understand you need to make an analysis of your customers. You need to make an analysis of your environment. For someone in Lagos and someone in Oshogbo, for instance, someone who's a fashion designer in Lagos will still probably likely their income may reduce, and that will still probably weather the storm over the next 1 year better than someone in Oshogbo. But that's not just the only criterion. It also depends on their customer base, on the customer base they've been able to build before the pandemic, and then also depends on the purchasing power of their customers, the kind of industries their customers are working in, the kind of customer demography of even the demography of their customers. For instance, if you're dealing with if the demography of your customers are older people, God forbid, and then you know that this disease has disproportionately dealt with older people. That means that you're dealing with a demography that is shrinking. And then if the demography of your customers is also very young people, children, for instance, then you are still in trouble, so to speak, because now their parents they don't make the decisions to buy. Now, and the parents who are meant to buy for them have less money now to work with. And if you're dealing with, for instance, young people, maybe between 20 and 35, for instance, and who are working class people, you still have to find a way of readjusting your plans, because now they have less money. Many of them are either out of jobs or they have less money to spend. So irrespective of where you are, and you still need to make an adjustment, it just means the only thing is you need to sit down and understand. That's why you understand the demography of your customer, even understand if you need to disaggregate some of these things and understand how to respond to make the appropriate decisions using some of the information you have going forward.
So basically, there's no way out other than understanding. That means you have to actually seek to understand your environment, understand the customer, understand the citizen, and all of that. So now the question, I think the other question I would like to add is, in understanding, how will you suggest that we actually go about a deep understanding of the situation? Because so many information are flying around. Yes, okay, for example, now they were saying Access Bank, for example, I'm just using that as an example. Access Bank is reducing, downsizing by 75%, and then later there's a news recently that I was seeing today again that was saying that it was not true. So there are a lot of information mishap everywhere. The question is, what suggestions do you have for us to actually go around understanding the environment? How should we go about it? Where should we look to? What kind of resources should we be looking out for right now to help us understand the environment and things like that?
Okay, like I said again earlier, that in looking at your environment is not unidirectional. It's multidimensional. It has multiple layers. You understand? And in analyzing your environment, you need to understand the multidimensional purpose of it. And what do I mean by that? You just mentioned Access Bank. Used Access Bank as an example now, and Access Bank has tried to downsize, so to speak, from the news we got, and what is going to be the economic impact of that on people? For instance, if not just Access Bank, for instance, the federal government is also trying to merge a lot of government agencies and parastatals. It means that for all those people that will be pushed out of the job market, so to speak, the aggregate income for the country reduces. When the aggregate income or the aggregate productivity reduces that way, it means that, for instance, schools, a number of people may have to withdraw their kids from certain schools and private school them from home or put them somewhere else. It means that schools get less money, teachers get less paid, other people get less paid. When those people who are still in their jobs get less paid, it means that the market women also have less money. You see the cascading effect. At the end of the day, it seems like in the short term, almost everyone is a bit poorer. So how do you figure out? And I've seen someone asking a question that for people who are looking at starting a new business at this kind of time, what would you suggest as a realistic fit to consider despite the restriction? And that's an interesting question. The interesting question you should ask yourself now is, what do people need? What is it that people are going to pay for, even if it's their last kobo that they need, if they have the last kobo on them? Some people would say food, but food, yes, is one of those things, but not just food. This pandemic has shown us, for instance, the impact of technology, that a lot of people were paying for food, were paying for. I saw a particular data that came out just like a week or two ago, that the amount of money that MTN and all those people made off data in the last quarter is higher than what they've made in similar quarters as significantly higher. It means that you need to look at what are the most basic things that people will always still pay for, even if they are poorer now. Then we're looking at things like food. You're looking at the ability to communicate in our interconnected world. You're looking at what do you call it? Even schooling is still part of it. You're looking at even ask yourself, what would you pay for? Start with yourself. That would be the best way to start with yourself. What would you pay for? Look at the people around you, even though they are poorer. What is it that they still pay? They still put a lot of money into. You understand? And then look at your environment. What is it that, despite the fact that people are not going out and seem to be poorer, what is it that they haven't stopped buying? So then you begin to have an idea of what you can invest in, even in spite of everything.
Thank you. I have like two other questions here. Maybe I will read the two together so that you can answer them together. The first one says, for a business that provides services that is obviously not really going to be in need like before, does one stop it and start a new one? If no, what do you suggest? That's the first question. For the second question, it says, when you mentioned to pivot if necessary, I was just wondering how easy that would be, considering the fact that it might require acquiring new skills. How realistic would that be in the lockdown situation, apart from the ones that one can acquire via virtual platforms?
Okay. You see, and those two are these are very interesting questions. Very, very interesting. I'll try to answer the first one first, which is for a business that provides services that is obviously not going to be in need like before. Um, if you are providing a business or a service that is obviously not going to be in need like before, then you have no other way than to pivot. The way you pivot is now what you need to decide. Do you have the buffer? Do you have the enough buffer and enough savings or enough backup to be able to pivot in a drastic way? Or do you want to do a phased pivoting, whereby you wind down the business slowly and in that process you take time to build another one? That's your choice, and that's one thing you need to. You also need to analyze the situation you are in before you know which one to choose. But if you are providing a service that is obviously not going to be in need going forward, you need to pivot. Having said that, and I think the first question is kind of related to the second question also. And the second question says that when you pivot, when you mention to pivot if necessary, I was just wondering how easy that would be, considering the fact that yes, pivoting might require acquiring new skills. It might also not require acquiring new skills, and that's why I mentioned the last my last point was to repurposing. Repurposing means that the kind of skills you have now might actually be useful in another terrain. So before you know if you need to acquire new skills, you need to look at the skills you have. You need to look at the skills you have presently and try to understand, beyond what I'm doing now, can I adapt or readapt these skills to other areas? Like the example of the teacher I used the other time. You understand? Can I adapt or readapt my skills to other areas? Can I readapt it to, and I use the example of companies in Europe, manufacturing companies in Europe that used to make heavy equipment before now, readapting or repurposing their factories to produce ventilators, which is very highly in use now, or is in high demand right now, but which not many companies were making before now. So at that level, you need to ask yourself the question that what I already have, is it useful? Can I find a way of adapting it or readapting it to another line where I can repurpose my skills and even the tools you have on ground? like one of the things Toyin and someone has been running, for instance, is you see a number of tailor in the recently now making face masks. A lot of fashion designers now putting a design spin on it, now making face masks in the meantime. You also see a number of organizations now changing the outlook of what they've been doing. So you need to find a way of leveraging on what you have right now to see if you can fit in another direction. That said, if you then think it cannot, then you need to acquire new skills. But also in acquiring new skills, some of the questions acquiring new skills is basically like looking for new businesses also. You need to ask yourself the same set of questions. What kind of new skills are people going to pay for in 6 months, 7 months down the line, or 1 year down the line, 2 years down the line? What kind of skills do you need to, so that you are not just acquiring a kind of a skill that you would not be rewarded for? What kind of skill is as the new world we are in now, from what we are seeing now? What kind of skill do you think are becoming more valuable? You understand? What kind of skill or what kind of thing would people pay for? Would employers pay for? In the UK, for instance, when a number of people, when they started losing their jobs, a number of people who were in the white collar business had to go look for jobs in Tesco and Costco and places which are places like ShopRite. So while a lot of companies shut down, the businesses for places like this, and a lot of them had to go work with Amazon and all that, businesses like that were booming. So we need to look at what are the areas that are going to experience boom, and what kind of skills would you need to be able to fit into those kind of industries that are going to experience boom post-COVID-19. So I'm not sure, I think I've answered that question, but there's another question.
Yeah, we have a few more questions. Okay. Let me read some of them. One question says, if starting a new business is what will work, how can you leverage on the previous business?
Sorry, before you go into that question, I just saw that there was a particular part of the last question I just answered now that that is an interesting one that I should have said something about, but I did not. And the person said, how realistic would it, in terms of acquiring new skills, how realistic would that be with the lockdown situation, apart from the ones that can be acquired via virtual platforms? The thing is, in the world we are now, and in the future into which we are going now, any skill you probably cannot acquire virtually now is not really a skill you should be investing in. I don't know if anyone understands what I mean perfectly. Any skill that you cannot acquire is probably not a skill you should be in the world we are going into now. In the future we are going into, it's probably not the kind of skill you should be investing in going forward. It's not the kind of skill you should really be investing in, because even if it's 1, 2, 3 years down the line, it's going to be an obsolete skill. So it's when you look at your cost benefit, and if you do your cost benefit analysis for such a skill, then it's not the kind of skill you should really be putting a lot of your time into at this point in time. So yeah, I think we can move to the next question.
The next question, Okay, so the next question is, if starting a business is what we work, a new business is what we work, how can you leverage on the previous business to bring in the new business without confusing people, especially if you have been known for the previous business? I think this person is bothered about how How you will not look like somebody that is just moving from, from A to B to C, and you're looking like an unserious person? How will you bring people to know without confusing people who have known you for the previous business? Then another person asks, you mentioned something about engaging in essential goods. We go into online platform like collaborating with online markets, since people have shifted online, help increase the traffic to your business, even if it's not essential. So I think what this person is saying is that even though your business is not essential, if you invest more into online marketing and all of that, you could can that help you increase the traffic to your business? And yes, I think those are the two questions that we have for now.
Okay. Let me quickly answer the second question before going back to the first. The thing is, if your business is not essential, if it's not meeting a need people are willing to pay for right now, and people who are generally poorer are willing to pay for right now, it doesn't matter how much online marketing you're doing. I don't think it will really fly. Maybe one thing we should probably go back a little bit to redefine is, what does essential mean? Essential to people in certain income brackets may be different from essential to people in another income bracket. What is essential to people in a certain demographic may be different, may not be essential to people in a. For some people, putting credit on their phone is an essential thing. For people, usually people who are beyond 60, 70, 80, they don't. For them, it's not very essential, or it may not be very essential for many of them, because most of the time, people in that category, their children are probably going to buy it for them, or their children are going to be the ones to call them. So you also need to understand. That's why I said earlier that you need to understand your market. So in defining if your business is essential or not, you also need to understand who your customers are. Would they see your business as essential or not? So first and foremost, you need to think about that. But beyond that, if you after looking at all that, if you still think that even your richest customers would not consider your business as essential, then it doesn't matter how much online traffic you try to drive at this point in time. It's not going to fly. Going back to the second question, I think I lost track of. Okay, about confusing people. It's basically about it's a trade-off, sort of, so to speak. You have to make a trade-off, and in making a trade-off is like in winding down a particular business and bringing up another one. You are playing with time. If you have been putting 100% of your business time into the business you're running right now, and then you want to build another one on the side where you're winding down the one you think will Hello. Sorry, the connection went off briefly. So to go back to the question I was answering earlier. So basically, if you find yourself in that kind of position, then my suggestion to you would be to play with your time, so to speak. As you wind down a particular that particular, play with your time in such a way that if you're putting 100% of your time into that particular program, then as you begin to wind it down, reduce the time you put into it, considering that you have the intention to wind it down. And then you put more of your time, you increase gradually the time you put in the new business you're trying to build. Why I actually proposed the need to wind down a business gradually is for those who can afford to wind it down to close a business completely. It may make sense to do, but not everyone can afford to shut down a business completely, because you need to consider your own situation before making the kind of and understand the kind of decisions that will work for you. But that said, going to the question that are you not going to be sending missed messages to your customers? That depends. It depends because if you're basically repurposing your skill, it means that in all likelihood, you are not attending. Your customer base is going to change at least a little. What you what you need to do at that point in time, what you need to do at that point in time is to create new narrative around the new business you're trying to do, and to make your customers understand why you are trying to pivot. By the way, a lot of people would already see why you really need to pivot, especially in the kind of time we are. So again, it's about communication. It's about the kind of narratives you are building. It's about the kind of narratives you are creating around both the business you're shutting down and the one you are starting. So I hope I've been able to answer that person's question, and or if the person has a follow-up question.
Okay.
You are muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I was saying that I'm trying to put a number of the things that we've said into a summary, so that at least we can take out the key points that we can all use in our works and business and more like that. So what I'm seeing here is key, and the understanding includes the understanding of first the environment in your business, understanding the demographics that your target, your customer target, because like you were saying something about how what is essential to one demographic might not be essential to another. So you understand the environment, you find information to understand the environment, you understand the demographics, so that you have an understanding of what is essential to them right now and what is not. And if peradventure you looked around and the situation of the business is telling you that, okay, this thing is facing out, there's no point to be emotional about it. Follow the trail, and if you need to face out, face out. But and you were saying that one of the ways that you can do the facing out might not necessarily be acquiring new skill. It might be that you just have to reposition your skills. When you were saying that, I was thinking about this thing, and I know about core competency, understanding your core competence, knowing that some skills understanding the transferability of skills, understanding that the core part of a skill is what you really need to understand. It's not necessarily okay. For example, you were giving an example of teaching. I'm even imagining that anyone who has the ability to teach, you can teach children, you can teach people to understand something, you can reposition that teaching skills to help business, for people who are doing business process improvements, how they want to engage their customers, such that maybe you have a business have a complicated customer relation. You can help them break down what they are saying in ways that customers can understand. The same teaching skill, it's just that you have used the teaching skill in a different scenario. So you were saying that in pivoting, sorry, we have to learn how to reposition our skills. That means we have to also understand what our core competencies, even the core competence of our businesses, what's the real core competence of the businesses, so that if you have to reposition. I remember this story about Blockbuster and Netflix. How Blockbuster is a former company in the US that is basically doing what Netflix is doing now, but Netflix is doing it online. And what they did not realize was the fact that their the Blockbuster company was a company that was renting out. They were renting out CDs, and I think one of the things that brought them down was because they didn't realize that the core competence of their business was not about renting out disc. It was about providing entertainment. And if they were able to see that the most important thing was providing entertainment, they would have seen that the world was going online and they would have pivoted. The most important thing is that we are moving from, we are still providing entertainment, but in a different way. So
I can quickly use that Netflix example to also now make that point of the gradual unwinding down of a business. While Netflix was competing with Blockbuster, basically Netflix and Blockbuster were providing the same kind of service. Netflix was basically also renting movies, but while they were building that, they saw into the future that the future is not going to be about people renting CDs. The future is going to be about streaming. So while they were doing all that, they were putting some part of their some part of their competence, some part of their skills, and some of their best people to work on the side on the streaming. So even while Netflix was still making money from Blockbuster, from renting movies, they were building the streaming business.
Oh wow!
Having seen that down the line, having understood what you just said now, and that's what you need to understand, that what are you really providing? It's not just that good. It's not just that service. For instance, for people in the fashion industry, for instance, one of the things people in the fashion industry are providing is not just the clothes. It's the ability for people, especially when you look at the Nigerian context, especially when you look at our Owambe culture. It's not just the clothes and the designs that you are providing as a fashion designer. For people who go to parties every week, you are providing that for them, that feeling of being able to be able to do the in thing, to wear the in clothes. It's not just the clothes, it's the ability let me use the code, the Instagrammability of the clothes, so to speak. So those are the things you also need to understand. Is the feeling. You understand that using the Netflix example quickly again, Netflix understood that the future of entertainment is going to move online. And like you said, and like many people even before Netflix did, and I think Netflix saw it from the music industry, when around the year 1999, year 2000, when NASPAS came and wiped off all the record companies. In the past, record companies and musicians made money by selling albums. Now nobody makes money by selling albums. So many of them now they went into streaming and all that. So it's the ability to understand the core competence, the core value that your business or yourself that your business provides, or the core underlying thing that your service that the services you render to people actually provide for them beyond the physicality of what you give to them.
Okay, so in your pivoting, sorry, it's that core competence you're supposed to pivot. Try to use that to follow the trend of what you are saying, of what is becoming essential or non-essential.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I think we no longer have any other question. So summarily, I think what we've established is that you have to have deep understanding of the environment, what is becoming essential with time, and understanding your customer, understanding your environment, seeing what is already becoming essential, understanding the core competence of your own business. So you know if you need to start winding down and sort of replacing the model of your business. What is sort of pivoting your core competence, like we said, replacing the model of your business, whatever you need to start doing to pivot, we need to start doing that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We wanted this session to be just about an hour, but because of the questions, we had to put in 15 more minutes. I'm sure that everyone who participated has learned one thing or the other. Thank you so much, sir. We are hoping that if people have further questions, we might be able to send it to you, and maybe, I don't know, maybe connect you with them or something. Would that
Yeah,
be? All right?
yeah, I know other so there may be people who have some follow up questions. So we may still need some clarity on some of those things that they are coming through to your minds right now. After they've had time to digest this, yeah, I'll be happy to help with clarifying some of the issues that may come to their minds later.
Thank you so much, sir, very much. I'm trying to see. I thought I just saw someone send something. Let me see if it's a question. I doubt it is. Okay. Someone is just saying thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much, sir. We hope that we'll be able to have you on board next time, maybe to probably lead us on some more practical session of foresight thinking, especially for business. Foresight thinking, maybe not just for business, also even for personal career, on how to think about the future and position yourself in it. But some of the things that I held on to is the fact that you understand your core competence, not just the skill that you have, but the core of the skill that you have. Then there's another thing you said where you were saying that any skill right now that cannot be acquired virtually is not the kind of skill that you should be paying attention to. And for me, that's really, really important. Because if you cannot acquire it virtually, it means you cannot sell it virtually. And if you cannot sell it virtually, it might not be the best kind of skills to be acquiring now, truly. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, everyone. Lastly, okay, first of all, two last information before we end this meeting. First one is the fact that the basic entrepreneurial program is on. It's going to be closing on Wednesday. The BP application is still on at bit.ly/BP in capital, then application in capital, the others in small letters. We've had an overwhelming amount of applications actually, but we are still hoping to find more so that we can take the very, very, very best students. It's going to run like this, but of course it's going to be a lot more comprehensive than this. We have video, we have online sessions like this, we'll have assignments, we have follow-up, we have group meetings, everything that is just going to ensure that these things we really, 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 really get it. And also, like somebody is already saying here, he's saying happy anniversary in advance. Yes, okay, one foundation will be 2 tomorrow, and is something of so much joy to us to see how we've grown over the years. We look forward to sharing more about the anniversary tomorrow. We look forward to sharing more about the anniversary tomorrow. Thank you so much, everyone. It's great having you. We hope that the next open business master class will be coming up in July. I think yes, it should be July, and you will get to have the information about it. We'll be bringing someone else talking about something else in that relates to your business that can help you grow. Thank you so much, everyone. It was great having you and it was great being your moderator. Thank you so much. Have a nice evening.
All right. Bye.
Bye bye.